folks, and welcome once again to the Get Outdoors with Hook Outdoors podcast / fishing report for the week of October the 28th, 2020, here at Cave Run Lake. First things first, the lake sets at 729.7 feet above pool, which is about 1.3 feet below the normal summer pool. They're in the drawdown now. They're trying to pull it about an inch a day. The outflow rate is 490 CFS. We have a temp here, depending on where you're at in the lake, you're going to run in the mid 60s. The oxygen level will run around 5.7 to 5.9, depending on where you're at. We are in the latter stages of the turnover. The lake is starting to shift from the darker brownish, blackish looking color that you get through the turnover to more of your normal early winter, late fall greenish cast that it'll carry throughout the rest of the season. You know, we've got some weather moving in toward the end of the week. We're supposed to have quite a bit of rain here, so you know the best thing we can talk about now is what the fish are doing at the moment, and just kind of keep in mind that if we get the rain they're talking about, that will change things quite a bit. First thing, the catfish have been doing pretty well this fall. The cut baits are more productive this time of year and heading into cold weather than they are at other times of the year, but your best bet still, at least here at Cave Run, is if you can find live bluegill, shiners, or goldfish, which we all sell here. The best areas right now are the flats, such as at Zilpo, or the backs of some of the bigger creeks. The crappie bite has been it hasn't been slow, but it hasn't been awesome either. It's just typical of the turnover, but it's starting to pick back up now that we're through the latter stages of that. And once the lake clears up, the crappie will move into their deeper wintertime pattern, which will typically be hugging real tight to woody limmy cover in about 18 to 20 feet of water. As of right now, minnows are the bait of choice. They seem to be producing better than anything, but again, as you get into colder weather, that's when, you know, grubs and jigs and that sort of thing will start picking back up. But right now, minnows are the deal. The PMTT, the Professional Muskie Tournament Trail World Championship, wrapped up this weekend. It was a 3-day setup. Basically, you had to catch a fish either one of the first 2 days to qualify to fish the first day. They had a 38 boat field, I think the number was, and there was a total of 44 fish caught over a 3-day span. There were some nice fish caught, not any big monsters, but it was a good number of quality fish. Locals, Dave Lee and Bill Burns came in third in the overall standings, and other locals, Greg Thomas and Tony Grant, came in fourth, and Tony Grant and Greg Thomas also finished second for the year in the team standings. Fish were caught on a variety of lures. Seemed to be the rubber baits, your Medusas, your bulldogs, that sort of thing, and glide baits caught more fish than anything else I heard of. There really wasn't much of a spinnerbait bite or anything of that sort. I'm curious to see what will happen this weekend if we get all the rain that they're claiming we're going to get. There's been a pretty good little topwater bite since the PMTT came through. I know the last couple of days I've talked to a few people that have caught some fish on some topwater type stuff, and I'll be curious to see if that still holds up when the water starts coming in the backs of these creeks. And now Evan's going to let us know what's going on with the bass fishing this week here at Cave Run Lake, and once he's done with that, we're going to talk for just a few minutes about early winter or late fall bass fishing here once the grass dies off and they have to find other cover to hang out in. So Evan, what have we got this week?
So the bass fishing on Cave Run, it's been pretty tough, but you know that's standard form, you know, in the fall transition, especially in the turnover time period. But there's still a lot of quality fish to be caught. You know, tournaments are still taking good bags to win tournaments and all that stuff. So, you know, your best baits are still going to be your best bet's going to be fishing shallow with in the grass with baits like frogs, really any kind of topwater, buzz baits, whopper poppers, spooks, poppers, anything like that. And if they aren't eating on top, you can still throw a reaction bait like a chatterbait or a spinnerbait, maybe a square bill, or bouncing around some laydowns from stumps. And if they don't want to eat on the reaction bait or top water, you can kind of slow down and start flipping a jig around laydowns, stumps, in the grass, or maybe even flipping some form of soft plastic around in the grass.
All right. And speaking of the grass, here the grass is starting to die off. They're pulling the water down for the winter pool. And once the grass is gone, what kind of areas, if you were coming to Cave Run, would you look for, Evan? And what would be your go-to method to try to see if you could stir something up?
Well, when the water temperature dips down low enough where the grass starts kind of dying off and kind of stops becoming a big factor in the bite, them fish are more than likely they're going to be past their fall transition. They're going to be more looking towards their winter haunts, winter transition, things like that. So I'll start looking out more towards the, still like secondary points, main lake points, things like that for a fish where they migrate back all the way in the backs of a creek in the fall transition. They'll do the exact same thing except in reverse when they transition back out to the winter haunts, and they'll still stop on those same main lake points, secondary points in the back of a creek, or even if you have like a straight bank that doesn't have any points or anything like that going in the back of the creek, then fish they'll stop if there's a stump or a lay down somewhere on the bank, or maybe a brush pile that you can get on your electronics and find anything a little bit different. That's where them fish are going to stop on their way back out. So, and I'm going to fish kind of a good variety of baits, some really slow, some moving baits. If I was going to start out, and if I was just looking for a few bites, I'd start out throwing a crankbait like a rock crawler, wiggle wart, Bandit 300, something in that line, which just your staple, late fall into wintertime crankbaits. And if I can't get bit on that, I'll kind of still fish a reaction bait. I'll slow down, fish a jerk bait a little bit slower, but still you're still moving, and you can still cover water with that. And on the crankbaits like that, I'll either throw anything that imitates a craw, like an orange, red, brown, or I'll go to a shad pattern. On the shad patterns, I'll stick more. That's more for the jerk baits. But traditionally on a crankbait in this time of year, you're looking more towards your oranges, your reds, and your browns. That's kind of the fall winter staple around here. And then if they're not wanting to eat a jerk bait or crankbait or anything moving like that, I'll drop down and I'll start dragging a jig or stroking a jig or something like that on a point, secondary point, or on a laydown.
Okay. Now is that pretty much a standard tactic? Like, I know you have a big tournament coming up here on Lake Cumberland in a few weeks. Is that kind of the same deal, same setup you're going to use there, or what's the conditions and such that you think you'll be facing down there? Barring any kind of crazy weather. Like what's the lake level and the clarity and stuff going to be like, and what's your expected method that you're what do you think you're going to be doing down there?
Everybody knows on Cumberland in the winter and late fall that a rock crawler, it just kind of rules down there. Everybody throws it. It's no secret. Everybody knows it. That's kind of a thing that everybody does. But the thing that differentiates between Cumberland and Cave Runs, Cumberland doesn't have any grass, but it sets up. I'd almost call them both highland reservoirs. The way that the bank's set up, you've got steep banks that go into the backs of creeks, but the only thing is Cumberland's lacking the grass. But I'll take the same mindset into that tournament as far as where the fish are going to transition. By that time, they'll either be all the way back in the creek in the heat of their fall transition, or they'll what I'm more expecting them to do is they'll be out off of their transition more into their winter patterns, on a main lake point, a deep secondary point, or something like that. And even like channel swings are a big factor down there. I'll set my boat in 70 feet of water and I'll throw onto a channel bank that has like a shelf, a rock shelf that sets out off of it. Even though your boat's sitting in 70 feet of water, your bait's not in that deep water, because there's more than likely a rock shelf or something like that sticks out, and that's where them fish will be sitting on that type of bank. They'll be closer to the bank.
Okay. Now you was talking about using rock crawlers and that kind of thing, and this is just talking to someone that, say I don't know anything about fishing, if you're throwing a crankbait, are you going to throw one that has rattles or no rattles, or are you just going to do like like the rock crawlers or versus a flat side crankbait and that kind of thing? Is there one bait that tends to work better than the other?
A rock crawler versus like a flat-sided crankbait, like a DT6 or a DT10 or something like that.
Yeah.
They both have their shining moments where they're both extremely good.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like this past year and the year before, they've been more focused on the rock crawler.
Mm-hmm.
That's not saying that there's not guys that go out and crush them on a DT6 or a DT10 or something like that.
Right.
But the rock crawler shined a lot more over the past year. Really, I think the main reason it has is because it's something new. All the fish down there for years have seen the DT10s and the wiggle warts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And something new hit the market, and it just had a little bit different action to it. It just caught fire down there. And I mean, everybody that fishes down there, whether you're a local down there or whether you're someone like us, 2.5, 3 hours away from the lake,
right,
you have a box full of rock crawlers just for that specific lake.
Sure. Well, folks, that's about it for this week. Kind of short and sweet. I'm about to lose my voice here. I've got a little bit of sinus allergy issues going on here. But we've made it through another week here. Hopefully, I'll be back in better form by next week when we do another episode. If you're planning on coming to Cave Run here over the next few days, just think about the rain, watch the water, and everything like that. Because if we get 2 or 3 inches of rain in the right spot, it could really jump this lake level up. So just keep that in mind, and we hope to see you. Stop in and see us if you come to Cave Run at any time. And as always, just get outdoors with Hook Outdoors.